You can shave in here or do whatever you want with the toilet seat, because I know how y'all do.
Man, we ain't all the same. I don't know what kind of men you've been living with.
Wild out, it's a good.
I don't think I'm gonna go to the party. Issa gonna be there. They're her friends, technically.
Okay, so what's the problem? She let you go, you ain't fight for it. Sound like y'all peaceful to me.
Drinks pouring, toes out showing.
We'll miss y'all.
Skin glowing, bank account growing.
How is it?
I don't know, man. Issa X up in there.
I don't like it.
Wild out, it's a good vibe.
Welcome to Insecure's After Show, where we wind it down to talk all about episode 8. Today is none other than Torian himself, Leonard Robinson. You ready, Leonard?
Hey, I'm so glad to meet you too. Thank you. It's been a dream of mine.
Cheers to new meetings. Cheers to new people meeting.
Good to finally meet you guys.
This episode is all about Issa questioning her decisions and choices, and also shows Molly doing some major adulting, you know, trying to start something new with Torian.
Yeah.
And it seems like Molly's finally starting to relax more and, you know, not force her relationships as much. So do you think Torian has had an effect on Molly starting to relax more?
I think they both have definitely had an effect on each other. I think that's the great thing about when you find somebody sometimes. Sometimes you find somebody at a time in your life when you're ready to receive what's coming at you and able to see it in its entirety. And I think that's what we're seeing here with Torian and Molly.
Can you pinpoint, just for you, even as an actor, the moment where Torian was like, oh, I see something in her?
I think the big thing is at the conference, Molly allowing herself to open up and actually be real and break down that wall, which I think something that Torian relates to is like, you know, he's had a wall up and recognizes that people don't necessarily fully understand or get him in its entirety. And then Molly, when she breaks down her role, whether it be conscious or not, it allows Torian to see, you know, her in her full, you know, light.
The people sometimes you fall for, they're not the obvious one, or you might be. I think women are really great for like having stories where it's like, I hated this fool at first, right? And now that's my husband, right? And so it was like, I think there's a fun thing of Molly being like, I would have never seen myself with Torian, which I think also allowed her to just be herself because there's no pressure to like perform for a guy that you're interested in. And so as a result, they just kind of got to know each other over the last 2 years. So I think that really helped in like getting this spark going between them for sure.
100%.
Having your best friend is one thing, but having someone come in unexpectedly when you don't realize you need them is also just opens up so many potentials for romance.
Sure, and I think also the fact that Torian comes in genuinely just trying to be there and not have an ulterior motive.
Not any
you know,
motive,
he's not really pushing an agenda. He's just finally in a space in his life where he can recognize somebody's hurting the way he was at some point in time. It's like, hey, I'm here to help. And also, I mean, they're both sharks. You know, sharks gotta swim with sharks.
So things are looking up for Issa, obviously, both professionally and personally, but in her daydream, Lawrence keeps popping up. So I'm wondering, is this self-sabotage or is Issa missing something in her life?
In any scenario, when you're making a new decision, those elements of other parts, like subconsciously creep in.
Yeah.
Issa, from episode 1 of this series, has had a what if guy. She's always wondered what if. It's been a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
And so Lawrence was a big part of her life, and I think it's natural to consider, what if he were there?
Well, I think what's interesting is that there's that line in the show where it's like, it doesn't have to be right. It just has to be right for you.
Yeah.
I think that's very important. A lot of people miss in their relationships is so worried about how things look or how it's going to appear. But it's like, if it's right for you, that's all that matters, because you're gonna be with that person. I think Issa and Lawrence, you know, have both realized like they both made mistakes, and the thing that's the only thing that's stopping that connection is just like recognizing like that, you know, a mistake was made, but I'm here for the next.
So it sounds like you're very much Team Lawrence, which I didn't know that about you.
I'm actually pro don't go back to your ex.
When do you know you're on the right path? Like, what does that feel like?
For me, it comes from not necessarily the result of the choice. For me, it comes from, am I making this decision almost as best as you can, free of fear and anxiety? Now, whether it yields the results I want is really not kind of the point, right? And I can live with sort of like the chips falling however they need to after that.
I would yes and that and say that if you're coming from a place of authenticity, like what rings true to you and what feels right for you in the moment, then you're on the right path. And I feel like if you are doing things for other reasons that are external to you, that it doesn't feel right, then you're definitely in the wrong lane.
Well said. We can't wait for next week, the penultimate.
Two more.
Thank you. 2 more episodes. Thank you guys
Wait,
for
that's
joining
it?
us. That's it. You're out of a job, buddy.
Oh, man.